Hey, what's up? Man. Let me tell you something. Whew. Uh, it's been very busy over the past couple of days. So sorry, I didn't keep up with the Doc Beast Daily, but I'm coming back. I am coming back. I'm not gonna forget y'all. So it's been very busy with my birthday weekend. Last weekend, July 4th and 5th. My birthday was actually July 2nd. I turned 40. So, spent a lot of time with family, and then after I spent time with family, I jumped right back into work. I work a lot of hours. But I still stay motivated. So one thing I wanted to talk about today was what are some of the things, the top three lessons, one of the top three lessons that I've learned since I've turned 40. Now, this is not an inclusive list, but this is just some of the things that I've observed as I turned 40. I'm sorry, I just woke up. I'm tired. Um, I worked late last night, and now a couple of hours I go right back to work. So I'm sorry if I slur my words. I'm nowhere near drunk. I am tired. So here are the top three lessons. I'm just going to stick to just these three because what I want to do is whenever I do these Doc Beast Dailies, try to stick with try to keep things short and simple as possible. So that's my goal. So number one, I've learned is that you can always improve on everything about yourself. You can always improve on everything about yourself. I don't care how good you think you are in what you do, whether it's your profession or sport, or even if it's your role as a husband or dad, you can always improve on yourself. Because here's the thing about it. Tony Robbins always says it's either you're growing or you're dying. So if you think you're God and you're not improving, then I feel like you're actually getting worse at something. Because there's always some way you can improve. No one's perfect. There's always a way that you could do something, better, nicer, more efficiently. Maybe you could throw in something with that. For instance, there's always a time where even if spent more time with your kids or you were nice to your kids 9% of the time, you could always say, hey, I'm gonna make that goal to be nice to my kids 10% of the time, or not lose my temper any of the time. You can always have a goal. No one's perfect, but it's okay to have that as a goal of perfection. Because I'm a big believer in anything that you do. You could shoot. I forget the saying, but you could shoot for the stars, but you'll hit the moon. So that's what I'm telling you guys. So even if you shoot for I'm gonna use working out as an example. Even if I shoot for a 5 minute mile, and I don't hit it, 6 minute miles still pretty darn good. So that's what I'm saying. So you're always improving yourself. So don't ever think you're, the tops of your field, whether it's in, your career like medicine or fitness or whatever, because once you stop, there's somebody else who's going to surpass you. That's number one. And number two, there are a lot of times when you may have an error in your thinking. You may think you're good when you're really not. So if you're always improving, you never have to worry about that. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. But if you're always improving, one or two things will happen. You'll always get better, even if you're bad. And number two, if you're good, you could always, you could be better or even considered one of the best. Even some of the top, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Even people who are the tops in their field still say they don't feel like they're the top in their field. I mean, they clearly, by certain metrics or money that they earn or points that they score, they're clearly the best of what they do, but they don't feel like they're the best of what they do. They're always improving. And since in their mind they're always improving, these guys hit like crazy numbers, whether it's earning income or they hit records or score points in the game, they're always improving. So that's number one. You could always improve in everything. Okay, that's the number one lesson I've learned. Number two, you only control yourself. Once you realize you only control yourself, I think that helps out with how you deal with people. For instance, when someone's an asshole towards me, or if I can't control or I can't get help from a consultant or something's happening with one of my bosses, they're not being, the nicest person in the world. I can only control myself because unfortunately this world, I'm about to hit number three. Let me hold off on number three. So once I realize I can only control myself, that helps me for not being too frustrated in life. It doesn't make any sense for me to throw up the middle finger in road rage. Me throwing up the middle finger is not going to help that person drive any better. So it does two things when I realize I only control myself. Number one, I don't do stupid things as far as throwing up my middle finger, because unfortunately, since I can't control other people, if I throw up my middle finger in the middle of the road range, there's plenty of cases where people have gotten shot. Okay. bam, bam, for throwing up your middle finger. Once you realize that person is, stupid, they can't drive, I'm just going to let it go. And also that helps you out with not being angry and not carrying out resentment and grudge, because that person isn't thinking about you. Once you realize that you can't control other people and that person isn't thinking about you, then you learn to let things go. You learn about this thing called forgiveness. So you only can control yourself. Plus, in a lot of situations, you actually look better. When you let the other person yell and scream and act stupid and you just keep your composure, you may actually find that, you know what, when that case comes to arbitration, or when someone else is trying to judge between two people or decide if they're going to hire somebody or decide whose side they're going to be on, they're going to look at you, because here's what you did. You kept your own composure. You let that person dig their own grave. So keep in mind, you only can control yourself. Number 3, this is the last lesson that just hit me. Um, um, because I'm doing this as I'm thinking. The world is unfair. I've said this multiple times. That's one of the things that let me know that I went from a young man in my late teens to an adult in my early 20s. The world is unfair. Just realize the world is unfair. No need to get upset. The world is unfair. So that means sometimes if you want a certain promotion, you're going to have to work harder than somebody else. If you want to get into a certain school, and you were born without the advantages or without money, you just have to work harder than somebody. You got to realize the world is unfair and just accept that. Some people were born with all the right connections. They barely have to do anything, i.e., if you're the son of Donald Trump, you have a little bit more of an advantage if you're the son of Donald Trump, as opposed to myself, born and raised in the ghetto. So you may have to work a little bit harder. For me, I had no plan B when I bust my ass and got into some of these Ivy League schools and decided to go into the profession I am in, medicine. There was no plan B. I had to bust my ass. It wasn't like if I failed, there was another job my dad had lined up for me. So once you realize the world is unfair and just accept that and move on, you'll be good. You'll be good. Just accept that. I'm in a situation now where I'm dealing with a certain person in my profession, and you know what? I know for a fact if I did this action, I would have been fired right away. This person, they're not being fired. So I said, I'm not going to let this eat this up. The world is unfair. I'm just going to move on and trust that in the end, God will take care of this person. This person will be judged at the end, and I have to let it go. So once you realize the world is unfair, you're good. The world is unfair. No need to carry around anger. No need to just do what you need to do as far as trying to rectify the situation or bringing it up to somebody's attention. And whatever happens, happens. But just do what you need to do. But just realize the world is unfair. No need for you to get all upset. All right? So those are the top 3 lessons I've learned since I turned 40. And I feel like those 3 lessons have helped me live a better and happier, live a better and happier life and pass on this wisdom to somebody else. And I'm not going to say these lessons have kept me stress-free all the time, but it's definitely lowered my stress, because once you start getting frustrated with those 3 things that I referred to, then you start wasting time and losing time and doing things that make people question your sanity or question your temper or question your self-control, as far as like anger outbursts and things. You say, just move on. Just move on. All right? Doc Beast Daily, I'm back.